What is up, down, and sideways, you truly beautiful individuals? It is another Epi of League Unlocked. Eric and Mark here with you today, and let me tell you, I was so close. I was one team fight away. I was one Doran Jax away from ready to proclaim Nongshim the best team in the entire LCK.
I think that would have been a pretty sweeping overreaction to what we saw there, but at the end of the day, you wouldn't have been wrong to jump through and be ready to be hitting the send button, getting all prepared for it, because it looked all done and dusted. T1 throwing it away until, yes, a heroic Jax play from Doran and the rest of the squad wiping the table clean and pushing on through for the victory. A lot more to discuss as we dive in through this series, but yes, T1 comes through and survives on the day. Still, maybe not their strongest, maybe not their cleanest performance, but one of the ones that still showcases that high octane performance that they have been capable of and have been able to access since the MSI break.
And we'll still give some credit over to Nongshim, especially they get so beat around, smacked in game one, and they bounce back to have a competitive, they win game two, doubling their wins on the split. Yes, they have not series, a single game win is all they had up until this point. And of course, it was against KT. So they double that one up and then almost have this comeback for game three, even though they still end up losing in like 26 minutes in that third game. But I don't know. It really just feels like if KT or Nongshim somehow get to Worlds, all of a sudden they're going to match up against Western teams or fourth seeds from the LPL. They might be fully unlocked after training against these squads, man.
It's hard not to imagine them being battle-tested, hardened, strengthened because of this type of schedule. Now, it's not always the way that it is. Usually, sometimes it's the answer is in the middle, in between, right? It's finding out exactly what the power of these teams will be and can they showcase that against lesser competition is going to be one of the questions you have to figure out for yourself and, theorize and whatever. I think at the very least, what we have seen from these KT, these Nongshim teams, is some of the aspects that we do like, that we do love and praise about T1, a Gen G, heck, even a Hanwha Life at this point in that upper group. Not consistently enough or not to the strength of the degree of strength that you do like them with those top end teams. And that's become obviously so clear, having to see so much of that competition at that top end throughout this LCK format.
What we did learn or further reaffirm is that Ziggs is the kryptonite of T1. Thank God it's fearless and they only have to go up against it once. Calyx is the real deal as a young player. I think is going to be around for a long time in the LCK. And Jinx has absolutely no way to play the game against a Fed Zed and a Fed Jax. But that we already knew.
I feel like we've seen that throughout the history of the game. More than enough iterations to understand that that's a dangerous dangerous duo for any ADC to have to go up against. I really like that you do mention Calyx, because I think that he certainly has been one of those bright spots, one of those things that you see potential, you see a road being built for his career, and I think that's something obviously as an organization like Nongshim you got to prioritize. You should be pleased with and supporting. And then I think as well, what we saw in this is Doran coming through in the big time moment in a clutch performance for T1, where they had almost thrown away that game three, so close. And just, I think on the other side as well, some inexperience, some overexcitement on the side of this Nongshim squad, trying to get a little bit too trigger happy, saying, yeah, we got him. We can push, make the play to end the game. You made the play to end the game, all right. It just ended with you losing.
Hey, can you blame Nongshim? They get so excited to see their first series win on the split and obviously end up falling a little bit just short. LPL side of things, it doesn't matter if it's against a 1-10 FPX squad. No team is more exciting to watch right now than Invictus Gaming. Case in point, you only need to look at this Game 2 16-minute ace. And this isn't a 5v5 ace. That happens all the time. This is 3 different instances of skirmishes going on in every single lane. The Shy turns around to 1v2. We get a 2v2 in the mid lane, and then some solo kill action in the bot lane. IG is just chaos on the Rift, and I'm here for every second of it.
It's the old Top Gear meme of, pointing at this car and saying all the wonderful things about it and why it's the best car of its type, and then going, but I like this, and it's over here. And you can do that with, Gen G, T1, throwing in anyone's legend, whatever you want to talk about. As far as these top tier teams, they're wonderful, and they all have all these accolades. But I love me some IG and this old roster getting it going and seeing these type of plays, these type of creativity, and this type of action in the team fights. That's what we've been waiting for and wanting to see from them. And that is what everybody, I'll say it, is waiting to see at the World Championship. This has got to be an IG team that I want to see not just make the event, but make it interesting. Go deep, go to the top 8, go even further, but make some noise. And I think right now, the way that they are playing, the way that Rookie, Gala even, and throw in a little bit more consistency, I think. A little bit more from the Shy so far this split. And that has been the difference maker to see this IG team soaring up the rankings and soaring up a lot of people's opinions within the LPL.
Yeah, and if you want that consistency, that clean, calm, controlled gameplay, watch the Gen G games, because that's more often than not a convincing win throughout. If you want a roller coaster ride that actually ends in wins more often than not, then watch IG, because from a game-to-game basis, they can be dropping games to FPX. They didn't on this day, but they can drop to lower tier teams and be punching up and taking down a squad like BLG. So yes, we are handfold hoping that we get to see this IG at Worlds and they don't choke in playoffs.
Yeah, that would not be the avenue that I think a lot of people are waiting for, but it's the thing that we talked about for this IG roster when it was announced that it was going to be the rebirth, reignition of this team, and especially those core star players that were part of the World Championship roster. Going to be that excitement, and at least I think so far it's been that slow burn, slow build up and figuring it out for it. But right now it seems like they are peaking and are in that form where they will rise to the top of the region.
A squad I am definitely not worried about representing at the World Championship are the Flying Oysters over in the LCP. They had the big matchup against GAM eSports and yet another swift 2-0. How about now we're talking about domestically a 20-game win streak, obviously going back to split 2 action for the defending champions, and we got Hongqy doing some of the heavy lifting in this series alongside Doggo. But Hongqy, now we're just seeing the theme. People are already talking. This guy's going to be going to the LPL next year and getting a huge paycheck, which I am scared about, because we saw Doggo completely go on a downward trend when he went to the LPL, and now he's a world-class AD carry again since he returned back to the LCP.
Normally, I'm all for it, because in these type of situations, it's about the player getting that bag. Keep getting that money, keep increasing your career, all these type of things on the individual basis, on that player basis. That is what I am supportive of. But this type of one for Hongqy, I think it's kind of a dual-edged sword here when you're talking about that. One, yes, you do bring up past experiences, past players that have seemed to be on that rise, taking that next step before maybe they were ready for it. Maybe they weren't prepared in various avenues, and some of them can simply just be the human aspect, right? Going to somewhere different and being in a different area, different language, different food, all sorts of things can play into something that can make someone underperform, be uncomfortable, whatever. And then on the other side as well, I'm looking at it for the region, for the LCP. Having Hongqy there and his immense early skill and potential, and having that leave the region as far as what can push the other mid laners to improve themselves and rise up and have that talent and keep pushing that position forward for the region. That's where I would be I'm more concerned, and I want to see him stay and continue to develop and continue to shine for the LCP.
I'm just looking for more of these marquee matchups against PSG talent where we can get the torch passing from Maple to this guy like Hongqy, who seems to be the future of this entire region if he does end up staying and not get lured away from the bag over in the LPL. If you're looking ahead to the weekend, you're thinking playoffs coming in, the LTA, final week of the LEC, it's going to be spicy. I was thinking the same thing, and then I'm looking at matchups for the weekend going, wait a minute. First of all, there's no LEC games. They're on Monday, Tuesday. It's the classic, you get booted out of Riot Games Arena because Valorant is on the Rift, or not the Rift, in the Valorant space, and because it's actually playoffs for the EMEA Masters there. Okay, I understand. And the bigger egregious thing is there's no Carmine Corp, there's no Fnatic, a schedule of SK versus G2, BDS versus Heretics, Giant X versus Na'Vi, and Vitality versus Hongqy being the only actually interesting matchup.
I'm not the biggest Valorant guy, but I think you just dropped a secret hot hint for what should be something they should do is a Summoner's Rift map within Valorant type of thing. And top down first person be a little different, but yeah, I think, hey, throw something wild out there. If we're gonna have to deal with a Monday, Tuesday LEC games after Valorant, maybe we can integrate and work a way to find something else out of this as well. Unfortunate. We know the situation's no point really being salty, upset, frustrated. We all know it's not the best end of the deal. What you can be salty, frustrated, upset with is that scheduling, is that slate of games across the LTA and LEC are unmotivating to the average fan, never mind the diehard fan. The average fan at best is absolutely not wanting to tune in, not motivated to tune in by any of these matchups because of obviously the strength of the teams that we are seeing and the significance of the consequences that these teams have and understanding what their expectations are going to be and all these type of things. I don't think anybody is convinced that you're going to see something this weekend that is going to change your mind, change your opinion on how you feel things are shaping up towards one.
Yeah, again, that Vitality Koi matchup is the only one that really has any actual implications on these standings. And how about Na'Vi here going to play their final game? They're already eliminated, and this is, the new split, new organization, an iconic name within the esports space, and you're here after 4 best of 3s, and that's your year. This is split 3. You're out, you're done dusted. You heard Hans Samdi kind of talk about, it's too bad, I feel like you never really played any games, and that's because you didn't even get to play every team once.
Yeah, and that is really an egregious mistake in the scheduling, in the formatting type of thing. And then again, even more so, it's a mistake in the first place. And then second mistake is not being able to recognize that beforehand and go, oh, we've made this change. Navi's in, whatever, maybe did. Oh, yeah, that doesn't really quite work out. No, that's not the way things are in LEC land. It is going to be Na'Vi stepping away. And yes, thank goodness Han Samdi, or at least someone, is stepping up and talking out about this, because I think, again, if we can get some more player voices on this type of topic, will help the traction as far as working towards a different future.
Not to be outdone by the LEC. Prepare for what will be the lowest viewed weekend in LTA history, and that's saying something, because there's been some rough weekends. But DSG versus Dignitas, Lion versus 100 Thieves. It's the losers bracket kicking off this weekend, and that's fine. Great, let's get it going. But that's it. There's no other matches. There's no Cloud9. There's no Team Liquid. There's no FlyQuest. You could have at least maybe thrown the winners bracket in here to give us something, to draw the fans in for something to watch.
I think that had to be the answers. You had to find a way to mix the scheduling of that winners bracket and losers bracket, going just into this losers bracket and just into these matches that we have this weekend for the LTA. Nobody is going to be motivated to want to be tuning in for these matches. They do not have the type of extension. You don't even have a Shopify Rebellion coming on through in this weekend in the matches and the way things are. This is about as bad as we've ever seen it be within the scheduling for the region.
And I mean, really, like, whichever of these squads are winning, you're just kind of waiting for them to lose in the next round, I think, is what the most painful part is. Even if 100 Thieves or Lion come out with a swift 3-0 in their very next matchup, you're not really expecting a dark, deep horse run going through.
There already has been the weeks that we've been seeing in the LTA where it is, where's FlyQuest? Where's Cloud9? Heck, even barely scratching the surface is going, where's the Team Liquid? Where is the Shopify Rebellion? So now if that's taken off the table, you're left with nothing. the scraps of DSG, Dignitas, and it's not enough. This ain't enough for the viewership. And again, especially when on the flip side, you can go through and hey, the LCK is like a over 50% chance that you're going to have a T1 Gen G or Gen G Hanwha Life, T1 Hanwha Life, whatever thrown in there type of thing. LPL, it's always on. It's nonstop. Heck, even the LCP coming through with some big matches for PSG, for the Flying Oysters that we just mentioned. You got to find a way to bring these matches and if anything, just purely off the viewership and those type of numbers and statistics, it will not be a pretty one for the LTA or the LEC, frankly, on the Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah, it's really Hanwha Gen G on the Saturday is the headliner, the marquee matchup for the entire weekend. Even the LPL, by their insane standards, doesn't have the crazy matchups that we're accustomed to. So think of this as the time to take a deep breath this weekend before we really get into the crazy, insane matchups further into playoffs in the LEC, and then, of course, the LCK and LPL at least get one step closer to that playoff run. But that is it today for League Unlock. Eric and Mark here with you. Absolute beauties. Thanks so much for hanging out. We will catch you on that flippity flip.